So I came across this video on my homepage that I thought would be interesting to talk about. It's called Why We Shouldn't Leave Incels Behind, and it was posted by our lovely resident YouTuber doctor. I'm sorry, I just had to acknowledge our lovely Indian people, and to just let you know, I love you. Fuck you. But on the subject matter at hand, I wanted to say that I just kind of disagree. I am of the opinion that incels should indeed just be left behind by society, and to articulate why, I'm going to do a bit of a reaction to Dr. K's video. I'm going to mix a little bit of live commentary as I recorded a video with some of my thoughts that I recorded in post that I felt I didn't properly articulate in the live recording, so hear me out. I'd appreciate it if you watch this to the very end, and yeah, let's go on a little trip. We are going on a trip in my favorite indie. Okay.
So I'm not the hugest fan of what you would call react content, but I watched a piece from Eliza Schlesinger.
Damn, I feel called out. I'm reacting to this guy. So right before I say anything, I feel it's important to get this out of the way. There's a difference in how people use the words nowadays, and the word I feel it's important to get all cleared out is the term incel. With the way most people use it nowadays, it means something along the lines of some bitter, ugly man who's angry at women because he can't get laid. But with the way that I'm presuming that Dr. K is using it, he's trying to define what the term originally meant, someone who was legitimately involuntarily celibate, without the whole woman hate and manosphere crap. Something I wish I had was the social influence to push for a distinction between the two terms, because people tend to conflate the two and throw the first definition at anybody who expresses even a slight criticism of someone who just happens to be a woman, all while ignoring the actual issue of people feeling like they ain't shit because they can't get relationships for reason X, Y, and Z. The people that this Eliza comedian is about to mention in this clip I'm gonna play are examples of actual incels. The first definition, you know, the hateful, misogynistic turds who feel the need to assert their quote-unquote dominance through violence.
That kid that shot up the University of Santa Barbara a couple years ago.
Oh, Elliot Roger.
I know, it is hard to keep them straight, America, but this one was different.
It is happening a lot,
because this kid
right?
wrote a whole manifesto about how women don't pay attention to him and don't sleep with him, and this is what they deserve. That guy that shot up that Asian strip mall in Atlanta, he had a whole interview about how women don't sleep with him, and he's alone, and this is what they deserve.
And this is what general society believes to this day. They share the same sentiment and disregard for quote-unquote incels, regardless of my definitions, that our lovely comedian just expressed. And that's all I'm gonna play from this Eliza Ich bin last name, pardon my ignorance, to establish context for the points that Dr. Kanogia is gonna make. Well, except for this one last thing. I don't question what people's are wearing, but like, what the what is going on here? I'm confused. Is this like a style of a cloth or whatever? Because like, or maybe these are pockets or something? Because like, did she walk to a TED talk in a bikini, my nigga? And like when they go like, hello? I'm sorry, like. Okay, I've had my fun. I'm back to actual speaking points. Now, it was while making this that I got the impression from this video that a resident virtual doctor doesn't like people reacting to his content, apparently. I don't know if I should believe that, but I'm just gonna be a bit careful with what I show in that manner. Paraphrasing here, Dr. K argues that the general sentiment of society regarding incels, again, presumably the second definition, is too dismissive and makes this whole societal views on imbeciles as a massive hypocrisy by comparing the average societal reactions to quote-unquote marginalized people who would need help, with incels being the only odd man out.
Which is that there is one group of people who does not deserve help from the rest of humanity.
And I do agree with his evaluation on how society treats different groups of marginalized people. Incels are the most notable exceptions because the average person presumes them to be the quintessential definition of a loser, who just needs to pull himself up by the bootstraps and get his shit together. Which, from their perspective, could be seen as some negative effect of some weird gynocentric society or something, or basically that everybody else is out to get them. But it's from here that my disagreement with this take starts. Society is not a monolith, and will apply the "Oh, well, he did it to himself," and "Oh, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, bro" mentality to other people who are not incels, or otherwise as straight white males in this case. The selective disregard for incels is not a universal thing. For example, if a guy, a male, chooses to be like a conservative and exude all his conservative beliefs to everyone out there, and like he like complains about like not finding a girlfriend or something, a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, it's his fault. We're not gonna help him." It's like people are like saying like, "Okay, this guy's not entitled to it." Or, for a better example, when a chain smoker starts to complain about how there isn't enough support for people with lung problems, the average person deemed as a part of the societal hive mind would have very little sympathy for that chain smoker. Dr. K then goes on to say some very objective facts about these types of people. They might have had a rough childhood, might have a negative relationship with spicy videos, and have a bad mental health in general that leads them to being either one of these. And while all these are compelling pieces of evidence that could explain how someone got to that point, it's no explanation for why they couldn't realize that they got to this point and do something to turn their lives in the other direction. There's an outside factor that you can't always control, but there's also an inside factor that you can control. It's not like you can change your past of being bullied as a kid and what it does to your self-esteem, but it's not like you can't adopt habits that will help you work through that mental quote-unquote trauma and improve your mental state in the future. But the thing about incels is that they cling so hard to what happened to them in the past and use it like this crutch to be so fatalistic about the future, to the point that it leads them to see zero point in doing anything but wailing about their misery in the present. And sure, one of these incels or an actual imbecile could say that I'm throwing the "oh, pull yourself up by the bootstraps" mentality that the quote normies throw at them, but that mentality is just something that every human being has to live by. Whether you're black or white or Asian or a woman or a man or a fucking animal, every being has to put some amount of work if they want to even just survive, let alone get into a comfortable position in their lives. Dr. K then goes on to make one important distinction between the types of incels in his video.
And I'm not in any way advocating if you shoot up a school, I think you should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and pay for your crime. I don't think that that is a good idea. I'm not advocating for that behavior.
Oh yeah, remember the two definitions I gave earlier? Well, after watching this, I feel like it's less about two binary categories and more of a spectrum, with the people like the Elliot Rogers, Alec Manassians, or however you say his name, being at the tip end of the spectrum. The thing about the societal disregard of people who more broadly fit into this first category is that when they start looking for someone, anyone who validates their feelings on the subject of dating, they'll almost inevitably come into contact with either the ideologies of the red pill or that of the black pill, which could lead them down a dark and slippery road that makes them nothing but a leeching nihilistic bum at best, or a hateful spree killer at the very worst. But before they even get to that point, the question has to be asked: at what stage of inceldom does it become acceptable to discard of said incel? Or, as Dr. K puts it,
my question is, when do they lose the capacity for help? At what point? If you're 18 years old and a virgin, do you deserve help at that point? What if you're 20 years old?
And I'm not gonna lie, it's a good question to ask, but it's not like this impossible life question that he's framing it to be. There is, in my opinion, a decent answer. An incel reaches the point where it is plausible for society to, quote, leave them behind when they are too far down the incel rabbit hole. What does this mean? Well, there's no specific universal point in like an incel's journey down in the trenches of the interwebs that they reach. It's more of a matter of how much their situation of being an incel keeps them from getting the help they need. Cause remember, the whole motto of the black pill is that it's over. And for them to even accept help, you would need to break that mentality. And when an outside person trying to help doesn't realize this fact, they'll grow sick of trying and eventually leave the incel to just lay in their misery. And this will keep on happening and happening until the incel has zero friends left, or someone manages to actually break through that mentality. It becomes untenable for society to keep on holding onto these incels when they are simply too far entrenched into this black pill stuff, and at that point, it's up to them to pull themselves out of the hole they're in. And considering that their ideology is a self-defeating and nihilistic one at that, there's a low chance of that happening. Given that a lot of these people are NEETs, and they tend to be like work avoidant that just like leech off of other people, from a societal perspective, it's a cost to benefit analysis. And when you're too costly, aka too deeply black-pilled, you are simply thrown away, as, in my opinion, you should be. But the thing about inceldom is that it largely becomes a thing because of the combination of the types of life experiences that one has and how exactly they react to it. It's two parts of an equation here. It's not something entirely self-inflicted, neither is it entirely something that just happens to you. It's actually a mix of the two. When it comes to the first part of the equation, everybody's life experiences will differ. Some people will get picked on for having factor XYZ, and other people with or without factor XYZ just won't. One's life experience is not going to be some cookie cutter type of thing and is a combination of many factors in their life, such as how much money they have, or who they are, or where they live, and yada yada yada. Meaning that you really can't root out one of these factors to make sure that it doesn't generate more incels. Sure, things like doing something about bullying can help a bit, but that won't erase the effect of the views that one is conditioned by society to hold, that being the views of virgins in the case of incels. The second part of the equation is where the juice is at. The way someone reacts to something can be a large determining factor to how their life plays out. If your reaction to someone of the class of people you're romantically or sexually interested in picking on you because of your height or weight or something is to become some whiny incel and condition your subconscious to tell yourself that it's over every 10 seconds, then it's just naturally kinda hard to sympathize with you. Even to victims of circumstance, a decent bit of their situation can be controlled by how they choose to react to it, and when it comes to the people who fall more closely with the second definition of incel I gave in this video, aka a non-woman hater, reacting to your sexual frustration by coming to understand what is wrong with you physically and socially and taking steps towards solving that is the ideal. And then after this, Dr. K wraps up his entire argument by giving a solution, which you can just see my reaction in the live commentary.
The second thing that I strongly recommend is y'all check out a course that we have called Mind the Fundamentals. So this is something where like...
Which is... I get it. Yeah, sort of a business, but like at the same time... if I was an incel and I was like reading this, I would be like, oh, this guy's Jewish or some shit like that. Like, no. I truly do think this guy's intentions are noble, given the other two steps to a solution he gave in this part of the video that I left out. But at the same time, for the people he's actually trying to help, some of them might think, oh, he's just some blue-pilled normie, or that he's some greedy businessman or something. It's just not the greatest look. But hey, that was a video, and if you agreed with me on any of the points that I made, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. I kind of want to be more of a commentary channel and someone who just gives his opinions on things, so yeah. Same old YouTuber shit. Give me a like by tapping, then subscribe, same method, and then give me a nice bedtime kiss. And yeah, it's been like 1,000 years. I'll be back next week, maybe. And yeah, I'm out of here. Deuces.
Anybody out there? Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh yeah. Can I sing my song? Yeah.